Amatakwepe. Ambatuwaste. Hello, my relatives. Today is a good day. You know, last week, or the last time we did the update, talked about the planned genocide and the beginnings of that. I don't want to go into intricacy because I want it to be plain and simple and how easy it is to kill off a people and to making them what they are today. Because there's a point in all this, a very definite point. So I want you to stay tuned. Now we're left with the fact about relocation, forced relocation into 7 cities from the reservation, a forced diaspora. They keep you poor, they keep you uneducated, and then they come up with the plan. Well, you're starving and jobless on the reservation. Excuse me. Why don't we'll pay for you to go out, take your pick, one of these 7 cities in the Western United States, and we'll pay for you until you get a job. We'll help you settle and help you get an education if you need something, if you need training, so you can get into the job market. Wow, that sounds pretty good, especially to the young people. Okay, we'll go. A lot of young families and a lot of single young people went on forced relocation to one of those 7 cities. What we didn't know, because I was on relocation twice, that first time I went through, what we didn't know was that they had quota systems for how many Indians went to this city or that city, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Now, I went to Los Angeles my first time from the Pine Ridge Sioux Indian Reservation in what is then called the state of South Dakota. So we go there, and I went to go to school as an accountant. But the treatment was so shabby, and I won't go into detail, that I decided to find my own job, because all they found me first was, my first job was loading and unloading boxcars. My second job was a janitor. And they kept saying the school didn't have room. So I asked them which school they were going to send me to. And they told me the name of the school is a business school. So I decided, okay, in the meantime, I'll find my own job, which I did. It was in data processing. At the time, that's what it was called. It was the age of the 1401, IBM 1401 business computer with the card system. At any rate, back in the dinosaur days of data processing. So we go on relocation. Denver was another city. San Francisco was another city. Dallas, Texas. Chicago, Cleveland. There were 6 cities. There was a 7th one. And that was either for the Indians in Alaska or in the Washington State area to go to Seattle, or in the Wisconsin, Minnesota area, or even North and South Dakota and Iowa to go to Minneapolis in Nebraska. So there was that. But we found out we couldn't go to the city of our choice, even though they told us we could, and we went on the quota system. You got 3 choices, 1 of 3 choices, and depending on the quota system, you got to go to one of those cities. They didn't tell us about the quota system. Those of us that stayed on the reservation refused to leave because we knew what that was about. But that was our enforced diaspora. In the meantime, remember, we can't practice our spirituality. We cannot learn our language. It's all outlawed. But the old people, they hung on, especially the old women and the men from the 18th century. They held on. And the 19th century, they held on. So we have still, in a small way, our languages. But let me tell you the situation on the reservation and why this is so murderous to our future. They keep you in absolute bureaucratic and economic despair. Absolute. You can't get into it, can't get anything done. There are 9 Sioux Indian reservations. I'm just giving you this as one example, okay? 9 Sioux Indian reservations in the state of South Dakota. We represent, even though we don't have property taxes, and that's the only tax we don't pay, even though we don't have property taxes, we're still, and we're less than 10% of the state population. We are 25% of their tax base. Because all that federal money that comes in to the reservation is spent in the surrounding white areas. So the state of South Dakota, for example, is one huge welfare state. Everybody's on welfare. The farmers and the ranchers, they're on the subsidies. That's another name, euphemism for welfare. So the state of South Dakota, and you know what happens in America? None of you Americans say thank you. We've never heard that word, or those 2 words. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful country. Thank you for all this water, oil, and the minerals. Thank you for the air, what was clean. Thank you for our shorelines. Thank you for everything. Nothing. Nothing. No honoring. Nothing. Instead, just shaming. And that's what happens on the reservation. We're continually shamed. You know, for over a century, we had white mentors, white authority figures, white teachers, white missionaries, everyone with authority over us. We escape and go into the armed services. White men, and now black men over us, telling us what to do all the time. Then we come back to the reservation. Do you think we have any kind of independent thought? No. But we live in despair here. Everything is dependent on the government. And the surrounding people, they look down on us. Why don't you pick up like the rest of us Americans, up by your bootstraps and become self-sufficient? We cannot unless we leave and join the diaspora and leave our land to guess who. That's what it's all about. That's why less than 15% of the American Indians, so-called American Indians, in this United States of America, only 15% live on the reservations. So I want you to tell you, when you have despair, you have no education into the complexities of modern life and especially into competition. Our men are not allowed to compete except in athletics and only as far as high school. That's another story of genocide. And we have to play white teams. And guess who the referees are? And the officials, the rule makers. So I got one more issue in the next segment. See you then.